seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him, so he never...
Some way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol.
And Canelo, man, I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices.
Several respected boxing professionals have come forward to expose Canelo Alvarez, accusing him of using performance-enhancing drugs ahead of his anticipated showdown with Terence Crawford. They voiced serious concerns over his rapid and dramatic muscle growth, especially in light of his history of failing past PED tests. David Benavidez has also stepped into the discussion, openly challenging why Canelo continuously avoids fighting him if he truly has nothing to hide and is confident in his abilities. Benavidez further points out a troubling detail: 5 different members of Canelo's own training team have previously tested positive for banned substances. In his eyes, this is proof that the entire camp is compromised, and that Canelo himself is not exempt from suspicion. These claims add more weight to the growing controversy surrounding the fight.
Greatest Mexican boxing fights of all time, in my opinion. Yeah. So I feel like I'm 100% confident in myself. If Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me. Especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him, so he never got off.
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. How does 5?
You saw De La Hoya.
How do 5 people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids? Right. You know what I mean? All those fucking dudes in that camp are doing.
I seen Eddie Reynoso on my fight, so we made a joke. He said like he came to watch me the fight and shit. And then they're like, "Oh, you think he's?" In my head, I'm like, "What do you think Eddie Reynoso's thinking about? So are we gonna fight David Benavidez after seeing this fight?" In his head, Eddie Reynoso's like, "Fuck no, we're not fighting him."
Yeah, of course. Honestly, I don't blame Canelo. It's fucked up because there's a lot of money.
It's not even about the money. It's not about that.
Yeah, but okay, 100 million, dude. You kidding me?
The first step when you're a fucking warrior, bro, the only thing you think about is money. I've never thought about money. I've been smart. I'm negotiating my shit, but it's always a prize, bro. It's always go out there and beat Canelo, bro. I'm a legend. You know what I mean? That I'm gonna live forever in boxing as a legend. That means way more to me than any type of.
Yeah, and I think that separates you too, David. I admire that shit about you. I was like that. How much you give?
Yeah.
and not to just bypass him. Shout out to Morel as well.
Yeah, shout out to
be.
Eddie Reynoso's gym, the training headquarters for Canelo Alvarez, has fallen under intense scrutiny, with critics accusing Reynoso of directly supplying fighters in his stable with PEDs. This includes Canelo himself, who has already faced steroid allegations twice before in his career. Observers have noted that multiple boxers from Reynoso's camp have failed drug tests over the years, creating a pattern that fuels suspicion about the environment and practices inside the gym. As Canelo continues his preparation for the Terence Crawford fight, questions keep building about how he is managing to bulk up so quickly, and whether his physical development is coming through natural means or aided by illegal enhancements.
Serious accusations about his gym. And the accusations are that people, or at least the implications are, that he is the one that is providing performance-enhancing drugs or is in some way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol 2 times. For Fahim Satur, I'll say that he did it 2 times, even though I think it was for the same fight. But Canelo Alvarez popped dirty for clenbuterol 2 times. You have Luis Nery, who had tested positive, but I think Luis Nery tested positive before he was with Eddie Reynoso. Then you have Ryan Garcia, who popped dirty after he left Eddie Reynoso and went over to Derek James. And then you have Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez popped dirty while he was with Eddie Reynoso, but at the time he was still allowed to fight. You also clearly see that you have an issue with the fight that's coming up with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, in that you have one guy that tested positive and you have another guy that looks like he's using in order to get up and continue to climb up weight classes. You know, at a certain point in time, and this is something that Rolly Romero has said, certain point in time, your body just doesn't do that. At a certain point in time, your body just doesn't do it. I'm 6'2", 200, and should weigh about 210. Closer to 250, but I should weigh about 210. I'm not gonna get up. If I was 210 now at 50 years old, I'm not. If by 55 years old, I'm not. The only way I'm gonna get up to 260 of muscle is.
Many experienced observers in combat sports point out a simple truth: gaining large amounts of muscle naturally in your 30s is extremely difficult. And yet, Canelo's current physique appears noticeably larger and more sculpted than in the past, making his transformation even more striking. This has only deepened speculation, particularly when considering Reynoso's gym's past history with PED-related controversies. Fans, commentators, and analysts are now questioning whether Canelo's impressive build is the result of legitimate hard work or if performance-enhancing substances are quietly influencing the outcome of major fights.
For a 30-year-old, now you remember, your body grows, men's body can grow in height and length up until you're to the extreme in your 20s. By the time you're 20, your height and all that stuff is there, right? Your height and your length. In your mid-20s, by the time you're 29, your musculature is pretty much there. It gets harder to gain and put on muscle after 30. So Canelo Alvarez is about to fight a guy that is going to put on 20 pounds of muscle.
Joe Rogan, one of the most prominent voices in combat sports commentary, has added fuel to the conversation with his own observations about Canelo Alvarez. Rogan, who has years of experience analyzing elite-level athletic performance, found it suspicious to see someone in their 30s gaining muscle mass at such a rapid pace. He reminded audiences that natural muscle growth slows significantly as athletes age, yet Canelo's transformation seems to defy that biological reality. For Rogan, this isn't just speculation, it's rooted in science. He bluntly stated that such sudden changes are almost impossible to achieve without outside help, and his large audience tends to pay attention when he questions an athlete's legitimacy.
Canelo, man, I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices. But I'm a Triple G fan, so I'm a say that ahead of time. I just like Triple G.
There's a lot of money on the line, and if I could get away with it, I would do it as well.
Some tainted beefs.
I think, he definitely got busted once for something. But it could have been from tainted beef. We don't know. But it also could be that, we should probably leave them alone and let them do whatever they want to do. Do you want to see Manny Pacquiao fight or not? Right? I want to see him juiced up, fighting at 45 years of age, coming in with a full six-pack, lighting people.
As the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford draws nearer, conversations about possible steroid use have become louder and more frequent. Fans and analysts alike say they wouldn't be surprised if Canelo were found to be using banned substances. The logic behind their suspicions is straightforward. Canelo has access to the most advanced training facilities, the best nutritionists, elite doctors, and top-tier recovery systems money can buy. With so many resources and the constant pressure to remain at the top, critics argue that the temptation to cut corners with PEDs is ever present. They believe the environment surrounding Canelo not only gives him the means to use performance enhancers but also shields him from immediate consequences.
What up, everybody? It's your boy MC from MCTV. I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo Alvarez is on steroids right now as we speak and is going to be fully juiced with something that hasn't even hit the market yet. Think about it, he's pretty much a billionaire.
Floyd Mayweather, never one to hold back his thoughts, has spoken openly about the steroid issue surrounding Canelo Alvarez. Floyd has brought this up in the past, insisting that most people are simply too afraid to address it directly. He claims there's a clear double standard in boxing. Some fighters face intense scrutiny, while others are protected because of their popularity and financial value to the sport. According to Mayweather, Canelo falls into that untouchable category. Floyd has stressed that PED use isn't just cheating, it's dangerous to opponents and undermines the integrity of boxing itself.
We don't talk about is, Canelo. Steroids. They don't talk about that. So we don't know. We really don't know all the fighters he beat. He could have been not clean in a lot of fights.
As hype builds for Canelo versus Crawford, the accusations haven't been limited to experts and journalists. Fans themselves are going back and forth, trading PED allegations from both sides. Crawford's supporters argue that Canelo's size and power are unnatural, while Canelo's fan base has questioned Crawford's stamina and strength at the higher weight class. The rivalry has become so heated that both fighters have agreed to extensive, transparent drug testing throughout their training camps. This isn't just for the officials, it's meant to restore public confidence. The fact that both teams felt the need to reassure fans about their clean status speaks volumes about the current level of mistrust in boxing.
Canelo and Crawford are strictly and consistently doing random data testing in order to silence each other's fan base and their critics ahead of their showdown this September. Now, despite this being a normal thing, the gravity of this fight brings in more attention to their test results, partly due to the fact that suspicion regarding both men have been up as of lately. Namely, Crawford's sudden bulk and jump to 168 and his close relationship with Snack and Victor Conti, and of course the recent PED scandals being associated with Team Canelo, as well as him once testing positive for clenbuterol 7 years ago due to contaminated meat. With that said, both men have been doing random testing since June and will undergo strict and consistent random tests up until they finally meet next month. Now, it's worth remembering that despite all the recent allegations for Canelo and Crawford, both fighters have been consistent.
Canelo Alvarez didn't always have the imposing physical frame he does today. In his early years, he was smaller, faster, and fought more like a natural welterweight. Over time, however, his body has transformed drastically. Now he's overpowering bigger opponents with apparent ease. Such a drastic physical change has only increased speculation about whether this growth has been entirely natural, especially considering the physical demands of the sport and the natural decline in muscle building capacity with age. While some credit elite training, discipline, and dedication, many remain unconvinced that's the whole story.
But I think you gotta lean more towards Canelo, because like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down, and Canelo not even really a 68 pounder. He probably really should be at 60, maybe. And he been hurting these guys. I think he be driving these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200 pounds. And he dropping those guys like that. So I don't know. It's gonna be a great fight. The fans want to see it. So so be it. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight. At like 60 or like at least at 60, just to get his body, to filling up somebody a little bit bigger. And things like that. I know when you go up in weight, you gotta develop that power and not develop the power, but like put that muscle on and be heavy and things like that. So he might not want to take a fight because he's trying to build up right now. But I think he should, just to stay sharp and that way he don't have like a long layoff or anything.
Nico Ali Walsh, rising star in the sport and grandson of Muhammad Ali, has spoken about Crawford's preparation for the size and power of Canelo Alvarez. Walsh explained that Crawford is not blindly walking into a fight against a bigger man. Instead, he's sparring with larger, stronger fighters to simulate the exact type of pressure Canelo brings. Walsh praised this as a calculated and intelligent strategy, turning what could be a weakness into a competitive advantage. He believes that the willingness to adapt and prepare for a disadvantage is a defining quality of truly great fighters.
People with Canelo before Canelo's last fight, but then after Canelo's last fight, it seems like it's more 50-50 now. So everything is just the build-up for that fight is just going to be absolutely magnetizing. Like that fight, it's garnered so much more buzz after Canelo's last fight, and Bud is Bud. He's one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. He is one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Have you sparred any of them?
I haven't sparred Bud yet. I haven't been in Canelo's camp. I've met Canelo a few times. I love Canelo's team. Canelo's one of my favorite fighters. He's been my favorite fighter for the longest time. But I have to be Team Bud because me and Bud are cool, and I have so much belief in Bud, and I know who he is as a fighter. He is one of the greats. So he could do anything he wants.
And being around both of them and seeing how they work and train and things like that, what makes both of them the fighters they are, in your opinion?
I've watched Bud, so what for Bud in particular, he's calm in everything he does, and that kind of calm is scary to watch because it shows experience. You can see that he's been doing this for decades. You can see it with his shadow boxing. You can see it.
Well-known boxing journalist Dan Rafael offered a clear perspective on why Crawford is taking on this massive challenge. For Rafael, it's not about chasing a paycheck, it's about chasing greatness. Crawford, in his view, wants to leave behind a legacy as someone who embraced the biggest risks to prove his status as one of the sport's all-time greats. But Rafael also acknowledges the massive challenge ahead. Beating Canelo will require more than just skill, it will demand flawless execution, mental resilience, and the ability to avoid costly mistakes over the course of the fight.
I think Terence Crawford is a marvelous boxer, arguably the best in the world, pound for pound. But can you hurt Canelo? If you can't hurt him, I have no doubt he can outbox him. My issue is, if you can't hurt him, what kind of a challenge can you truly pose? What do you say to that?
No, that's a great point. I mean, here's the thing. Canelo Alvarez has a historically great chin. Now, I go way back when he first came to the United States and started boxing, and he found himself on an HBO pay-per-view undercard years and years ago, fighting against the older brother of the great Miguel Cotto. His name was Jose Miguel Cotto, and he had gotten a ton of hype. He had signed with Golden Boy Promotions, and a lot of those of us in the media. And I had seen him a couple of times before that. This is my first time seeing him in person, really paying close attention. And he almost got knocked out in the first round. And I remember Stephen A., all of us looking around at Media Row going, what the heck is this all hyped about? This man can't take a shot. He's going to get drilled. He was lucky that the fight was over, that the round was over in round one, or there might have been so much more trouble. Stephen A., that was like, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago. I've never seen him wobbled, rocked, physically, visibly hurt since then. He has an all-time great chin going in the ring with tremendous punchers. Terence Crawford coming up 2 weight classes, do any damage? Yeah, he's a slick boxer, and he's also a good puncher in the welterweight division, in the junior welterweight division, in the lightweight division. But even at junior middleweight, which is where Terence Crawford had his most recent fight back in August, when he moved up and he won a world title, he didn't blow the doors off. He fought a very tough, solid opponent named Israel Madrimov. He gave a good fight. It was very close. Madrimov's people seem to think he might have even been able to edge it out. But if you can't hurt an Israel Madrimov at 154, what the heck are you going to do with Canelo Alvarez, the sturdiest guy in the world, at 168? So that aspect of it is certainly a problem. You mentioned about Charlo. Charlo was there to get his check. I know one thing about Terence Crawford. He's not going to just come to turn up to get the check. He'll at least try. And Charlo, I don't think, really tried.
Terence Crawford's most dangerous weapon isn't brute strength, it's his ability to control a fight through timing, precision, and adaptability. Whether switching between orthodox and southpaw or adjusting his style mid-round, Crawford forces opponents to fight on his terms. This adaptability could be the key to neutralizing Canelo's power. While Canelo holds the advantage in size and raw strength, Crawford's mastery of movement and distance could allow him to avoid risky exchanges and create opportunities for clean scoring shots. Against a power puncher like Canelo, that ability to stay elusive while still landing effective offense might be the deciding factor.
It's somebody whose style is based around being the bigger guy, being the stronger guy. But Crawford is a very cerebral, very technical boxer, and I think that's why I'd never really considered this before. But also, I didn't actually realize until I sat down properly and thought about this, just how much weight Crawford has been piling on when he gets into the ring after the weigh-in. And look, these are not numbers that are out of the ordinary, but he's obviously cutting himself down so much in camp from whatever his walking around weight is. And it must be muscle that he's taking off. And perhaps that's why he's only fighting once a year, because there will be some fat, of course there will be, but the dude is not overweight. The dude still looks pretty ripped from what I've seen when he's not in training camp. However, there's not that many photos of him with his top off when he's not actually in training camp. So it's really hard to tell what his body composition is when he's walking around at these big weights. But the fact is, his fight night weight was 169 let's just call it 170 pounds, which is huge, absolutely huge for a 154 pounder. Especially, it's just shocked me that he's come up from 135 and now he's still putting on that much weight. He's rehydrating that much at 154. And indeed, to bring us even closer to the modern day, the thing that was posted, and again, this is the second time we've seen this, is why I'm kind of thinking there's a bit of a theme here with Crawford posting his weight when he's not actually in full training camp. On February the 9th, 2025, he posted an Instagram story and he showed himself weighing 186 pounds on a gym scale. Now, that's so much bigger than I imagined Crawford would be. I never thought this guy would walk around 186 pounds. which for anyone who needs the conversion is just over 84 kilograms. And now look, it's not an unthinkable weight for someone, but for someone who has fought as low as Crawford has, who is generally as lean and as in shape as Crawford is, that's a lot.
Marcus Brown, who has trained alongside Crawford, has no doubt that size won't intimidate him. Brown explained that Crawford has consistently sparred with much larger fighters, some with heavyweight builds, and handled himself exceptionally well under pressure. He's used to taking bigger shots, staying composed, and sticking to his strategy. This mental toughness and preparation could give him the resilience needed to withstand Canelo's power and still execute his game plan.
Crawford. Typically fighters, they don't want to say who they want to go for because, they don't want to be biased. Yeah. And much respect to Canelo, but I'm going Bud.
Is there a particular reason why? Like, you're a guy that's moved up in weight, so you know exactly what it feels like to get hit by these bigger guys. Is that something that's going to play in the back of his head? Like,
of course.
Gotta watch out.
It is, but it's not. Because at the end of the day, it's not like he just been in there, got in there with somebody bigger than him. He's always probably been sparring with bigger guys, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's that boxing IQ, which, William Skull didn't put up no fight, but he showed somewhat of a blueprint to get this guy, in a space where he's confused. Yeah. And he can't touch the target that's in front of him. Yeah.
That's it for today's breakdown. Stay tuned for more updates as the Canelo vs. Crawford fight approaches.